Welcome to Buckets. My name is MattMoore. I'm the senior NBA writer for the Action Network. Today's episode is brought to you by DraftKings Sportsbook. The crown is yours. This is your Future Jays episode for Monday, December 15th in the association. We'll give you best bets for the Monday slate. We got lots of props. Got a side for you from Joe Dellera, which is always a rare treat. Got that. And we'll talk about our futures. We'll give you our future of the week brought to you by Turvey this week. Lots of good stuff for you. Make sure you download the Action Network app. It's the best way for you to track your picks. You get up to second information where the bets and money are coming in on. You can track pro signals, like all sorts of stuff in there. It's crazy. You can do your bet lab systems, just have trends. You can do all sorts of cool stuff. Plus, you're going to get instant alerts on stuff like when Sean Kerner puts in a bet, or Nick Given puts in a bet, or Brandon Anderson puts in a bet. Brandon had himself a day with Bills second half, with Broncos first half, Bills second half. If you don't know, if you don't believe me, just go to his Twitter account and you'll see that, of course, he's willing to tell you that. Football's dead to me. I never liked it anyway. Never enjoyed it. So I'm very glad to be talking about the NBA today on the show with Joe Dellera and Jim Turvey. They're the Future Jays at Joe Dellera, Jim Turvey at Turvey Bets. I do want to give a quick shout out to Stuckey, my Action Network colleague, who's been with me in the company since I got in. Like, he and I were two of the originals, and he has welcome to Kiddo. So I want to give a shout out to Stuckey. If you are not aware and you do listen to Action Network podcast or the favorites or Big Bets on Campus or any of the other things that Stuckey does, make sure to go tell him congrats over on the old Twitter. Some people call it X, but I never ever will. If you're watching at youtube.com/the Action Network, please give us a like and subscribe. If you're listening on the podcast, give us a 5-star review. I know you hear that on every episode that you listen to, but like for shows like ours, it means a whole lot. It means a great deal. You don't need to give a like and subscribe to the one that's got like 7 million and like Spotify pays $200 million to. Don't need to do that. However, we do need your support. We do appreciate it so much. Okay, let's get to this week's episode. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about how done are the awards, because we are just a quarter of the way through, but oftentimes narratives set, performances set, and they get established. And then like, that's it. And you could say like, there's so much basketball, and you're absolutely right. But also in the market, we see basically it's like, there's always a possibility of injury that changes absolutely everything. That's always a factor. You just can't really bet based off of that. Like, you can just, I guess if you wanted to, you could just basically be like, I'm just going to fade the favorite at any turn because of the injury stats in the NBA. And that might not honestly be that bad of a plan. But as it stands right now, we're going to go through the market and talk about how done they are. And Jim Turvey has done a really great job tonight of actually putting a number to this, which I always recommend doing whenever you're doing analysis on betting, is don't go on feels, put it like a number on it. Even if it's a number based off of your feeling, try and assign some concrete nature to it. Let's start with MVP, because, well, it's kind of a big deal in the NBA. This is a two-man race. This has been a two-man race for a while. It will continue to be a two-man race unless one of them gets hurt. At DraftKings Sportsbook, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is plus 130. Nikola Jokic is plus 150. After that, you got Luka is at plus 320, and then it drops off a cliff to Cade Cunningham at 55 to 1. Jim Turvey, I will start with you. On a scale of 1 to 10, how done is MVP in favor of Shai Gilgeous-Alexander?
I have this as a 5 out of 10. And part of the 5 is that it is, like you said, a two-man race. Luka's stats are pretty insane, but he honestly feels a very distant third. I think all of us are a little bit skeptical of the Lakers. He has an ability to miss time. Here's the thing. He's not going to be thought of as better than Jokic, and his team's not going to win more than Shai. I think it really is down to two-horse race, barring injury. Again, you gave a very good caveat there, and I think you actually gave a pretty good point that, like, favorites are scary in a world where injuries are way more prominent than they ever have been before, and we have the 65-game minimum. So it does feel like Shai is in control of me, but we did just see the Thunder drop a game. The Thunder schedule is about to get way more difficult. They have played a really easy schedule. To me, that actually isn't the biggest thing against him, though, because it's going to mean he's going to start playing fourth quarters. He's going to get a chance to get more stats in those games. We'll talk later, maybe very briefly, about clutch. He'll get a chance to kind of get those big moments in big games. Overall, I have no doubts of this Thunder team as a regular season team. I don't know if we'll get into fully any big picture takeaways from that game against the Spurs and whether it can be used as, maybe some mini fuel in terms of big picture doubts. But regular season, this team is going to absolutely roll. It would be surprising if they didn't get to 70 wins. That's an insane sentence, but also it's true. Jokic is still the best player in the world, though, and his stats are absolutely incredible. So I don't think this is fully done and dusted. I gave it a 5 out of 10. I could see being talked into a 6. I'd be curious where you guys had it on kind of 0 to 10, or like which award, is it the most done? Is it the least done? But for me, it's kind of middle of the pack, with like a 5 or 6 out of 10 in terms of done and dusted.
Yeah, I mean, I think the framing of it matters, right? Like, I think that you could say it's 10 out of 10 done in terms of the field. I think the field is just those 3. I think it's Shea, Jokic, and Luka. As for who is going to actually win, I think that that's still pretty up for interpretation. So I think that the 5 is like probably about right for this, but I do think that we at least know who the real candidates are for this award. I don't really think that we're going to be dropping anywhere aside from those 3.
I'll go 7. So one thing to keep in mind is we get caught up in the moment, and this is what I think is really fascinating. We talked about kind of like the history of the award, and we always do talk about these thresholds that we use, and sometimes those are applicable and sometimes they're not. Sometimes they're like rapidly changing, and like Jim's talked about that a little bit this year. But I do think that, like, for me with MVP, there's a reason that nobody over 30 has won this thing since Kobe. Like, nobody's won it. Nobody's won over 28. Nobody's done it. Like, nobody. And all these seasons and with all these great players, like LeBron's last MVP was 2013. What? That's crazy. It's been 13 years, man, still in the NBA. They just don't win. And with Shea, the big kind of problem I have is that last year, it really was the defensive numbers kind of like holding him up. It was the rest of that team was so good defensively that they like lifted, and he was leading in steals, right? So that helped, but like that like lifted him up. Well, on EPM, offensive EPM, just the offensive side of the ball over dunks and threes, Shea's second behind Jokic, and like Jokic is going to be first because Jokic is the best player, and he's the most like, how about this? Jokic is the most valuable player on any night. I'm sorry. Like, I do not know what else to do with this. I understand that it's going to come off as like homerism because I cover the Nuggets. I swear to God, my wife could have chosen California for grad school, and I would not be sitting here like propping up Steph Curry, like, or Luka for this. Like, Jokic is averaging 30 points a game, 29.5, so 29.5 points a game, 12 rebounds and 10 assists with an EFG of 68%.
He's leading the league in both rebounds per game and assists per game. There's no way that's ever happened before, right?
Like, I want to be very clear on this.
Insane.
Jokic has a higher EFG than Giannis and takes way more jumpers. He's shooting 42% from 3 compared to Luka, who's at 34%. A good reason to kind of not go with the Shea route might be like, well, okay, what happens if he falls off like a little bit offensively? Because I don't think this 44% from 3 is going to hold for Shea. He's never been that good of a 3-point shooter, and he's been excellent. Now he's in his prime. I think Shea has been so terrific in the clutch. We'll talk about that later. And like, he's a better player. Like, he just is. He's a better player. But you can't. I think one of the problems that I have is I don't know what the argument, if we're doing this on a playing basketball standpoint, is for Shea. I really don't. So, well, he makes all these shots. So does Jokic. Well, he leads the best team in the league. Well, Jokic leads probably the second or third best team in the league. Like, what? I don't know what the basketball argument is. However, this show is about like predicting who's gonna get voted on, and the reality is just like voters will feel stupid if the team that wins 72 games doesn't have an MVP. Like, yeah, let's say they don't break the record and they only win 71. Oh no, they're only the third best team of all time. Rough.
Yeah. Like I think it helps too that like last year they won the title, and as stupid as it is, that is like definitely something that voters kind of look at. They're like, well, have they done it in like when it matters? Like for whatever reason, that like becomes an argument for a regular season award, but like apparently it matters, and I think that helps. And then I think that it helps that they did this to start the season. Granted, it's going to be distant at that point that they actually come to voting, but they started the season really with just Shea. Like Chet was in and out a little bit, not a ton, but he missed a couple games. J-Dub like didn't play. I do think that might matter later, but at the same time, if you look at Denver, they're doing it without a bunch of like key rotational players on a much thinner roster for Jokic. So that's kind of why I'm saying I think that the field is done, but I don't really know where we're going to go with this award at the end of the season, because I think it's one thing when Shea didn't have one, and Jokic had multiple. Now that Shea's got one, I do wonder if that makes a difference for Jokic at the end of the season.
If the Lakers went on a run, the narrative push for Luka would be insane. Like it would just be insane. Like they want to give Lakers an award. They want to give Luka an award. They want to give Luka this award before. They just haven't been able to. This is an opportunity. But the Lakers just aren't good enough. They're just not good enough.
And like they've gone on a run to start the season, and his numbers have been insane. And everyone's like, yeah, no, he's like a clear third.
Yeah.
And it almost happened a couple of years ago, and he couldn't get over the bump there.
So I'll give it like a 7. I think it's a 7. And I think that's probably means, if we're doing this, like, okay, is that percentage chance, right?
Like, does it translate to 70?
Yeah. So at that value, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander at plus 130 to win MVP at DraftKings, probably pretty good. Let's do Rookie of the Year, because I think this one's really interesting too. Cooper Flagg is minus 140. Con Knippel is plus 140. Derek Queen is plus 1200. VJ Edgecombe plus 2500. And Cedric Coward is 50 to 1. Jim, what is your 1 to 10 ranking on this?
I put this one for me at a 7 out of 10. I think you're probably a little bit lower here, but to me, this is the exact case you just made for Jokic. Like, how is this not just the best basketball player? So Cooper Flagg, since Ryan Nembhard enters starting lineup, is at 22, 6, and 4 on 55, 20, 86. That 20 actually stands out almost as much as the 55. I don't think we're getting like freaky lucky shooting here. 2 stocks a game during that stretch. Con Knippel and Derek Queen are the second guys in line kind of here, and they're averaging really good numbers. They're kind of around. It's actually amazing how close they are. Con is 17, 5, and 4. Queen's 16, 6, and 6, and that's like in the last couple weeks for these guys as they've been playing well. But you'll notice both of those guys are basically matching Cooper Flagg's rebounds, assists, stocks, all that stuff, but they're 6 points behind. So this is, and on top of the fact that he is the number 1 pick, the biggest prospect in a long time, I just don't see how. I think they would have to average notably more than Cooper Flagg. And when it was the start of the season and Flagg was really struggling and Con was out of his mind shooting, the gap was there. It was about 4, 5, 6 points in favor of Con. That was when I was a little bit like, okay, I think this is live, with the knowledge that, okay, Con's probably going to cool down. Cooper's probably going to heat up. That has happened over the last 2 weeks. I think that, Dallas at any point could do weird things and shut him down if they want another pick. So I don't think this is fully done. And we have 2 really strong candidates in Con Knippel and Derek Queen. But I think Cooper Flagg has, as he has settled in, as he has gotten an actual point guard next to him, his numbers are really, really strong. And it's going to be hard to argue if the numbers are even close to go with Con Knippel or Derek Queen, who we don't think are actually long-term better basketball players. You mentioned like the voters are not going to want to be like, we missed out on the 74-win Thunder MVP. They're not going to say we wanted to miss out on this generational Cooper Flagg, giving him a Rookie of the Year. Instead, we gave it to Malcolm Brogdon over here. And I say that as a UVA fan, the history of like messing up these things, I think plays a role here. And Flagg has the pedigree, and now that he is heated up, has the numbers as well.
How dare you? Malcolm Brogdon was great that season.
Listen, I love Malcolm. I love Malcolm Brogdon, and I think he should have won the award. He had better numbers that year, and Embiid didn't play very much. Yeah. This is a very different case. Cooper is playing every day and has great numbers.
Yeah, I mean, I think your 7 is so high.
I honestly think it's a 9. Like, I think this award's done.
Wow.
I think the award's done unless Flag gets hurt. Like, I think that there is not enough of I don't think there's enough runway for Khan to be that much better statistically than Flag, at least from like an output perspective. And honestly, I just think
Matt wants Queen.
I don't think.
Well, here's the thing. There's two things on the Queen side. Okay. One, who has been a bigger story over the last 2 weeks? Like, Flag's playing great. Who's been a bigger story?
Definitely Queen.
Definitely Queen, but
and he has a sneaky narrative edge here.
Yeah.
Because the more that he wins, people get to go, you know what? We all thought that trade was bad, but I tell you what, like, that keeps him in the conversation, which is what you need here. Also, just like, if we're going to be real here, per 36, Flag's averaging 18.7 and Queen's averaging 18.6, and he's doing it on roughly the same efficiency, along with way more rebounds and way more assists. Like, here's the thing. Here's another thing. Per game this season, on the whole season. So when Queen was not, like, that counts when Queen was playing bit minutes. His full season numbers are based off of him averaging 25 minutes per game. Do we think that he's going to average 25 minutes per game for the rest of the season?
I kind of do. I think it will be around like 27 because they're getting guys back now too, and they have no reason to tank. So if Zion can play, he's going to play.
He's not like the least apt to get into foul trouble. I would say.
Look, I get it. I don't want to sit here and like, I'm just, to be honest with you, I'm just like, kind of like, I shrug every time I watch Flag. I'm like, okay, cool. Like, he does some cool stuff, but like, Jim's like this generational player, and that's how he's talked about. So I understand why Jim said that. But like, I do not watch Cooper Flag and go like, oh man, what a generational star. I do watch Derek Queen and go like, holy shit. Like,
so I think the biggest thing though is what Jim talked about with Ryan Nembhard, because Flag was doing this in like a position where
no. I'm gonna cut you off there. It's Ryan fucking Nembhard who had a good month, but can we be a little reasonable here?
It's just a point guard.
It's just that he just doesn't have to carry the ball up the court every time.
What if Ryan Nembhard goes back to being Ryan Nembhard and then gets out of the starting spot and they're starting D'Lo again?
They'll put Brandon Williams in then.
Well, and I mean, Kyrie Irving supposedly is going to come back at some point, which obviously cuts into usage, but at the same time, I would much rather have Kyrie Irving running my fucking offense.
Yeah, you guys are probably right. Flag's gonna win. It's fine.
Derek Queen, by the way, tonight played 24 minutes.
Well, yeah, but they killed the Bulls too.
I know, but they had to come back in that game.
Also, by the way, the best player actually has been Cedric Howard, who's amazing. He's awesome, and
he had a little cold stretch. He's been scorching hot the last couple of weeks again.
Yeah, he's really good. Like, I agree with fading Knipple.
Yeah.
Like, that was always like a good spot, because it's just like, is he going to shoot 45% from three the entire season? No, right? Okay. So they're very confident on Cooper Flag, which makes sense because, it's Cooper Flag. Most improved player in the market at DraftKings, as I pull up my numbers. This award is probably, we've probably spent more time talking about most improved player than any other award in the history of the show. Denny Avdia plus 220, Jalen Duren plus 500, Jalen Johnson plus 500, Austin Reeves plus 500, Ryan Rollins 10-1, Josh Giddey 11-1, Keontae George 30-1. Remember when Amen Thompson was going to win this award? I remember that.
Yeah, 100-1.
I remember. Yeah, my bank account remembers it fondly.
Yeah. Okay. So Jim Turvey, we've had a lot of conversations about Denny in our chats. I'm curious to know what your number is on this.
3 out of 10. I'm pretty low on this. This seems very open to me. There's another award later that's very open because there's no good candidates. This to me is very open because there's 4 really good candidates. You list them off there. The 4 favorites I think are all really good candidates. Denny, I think, is the fair favorite right now. We can talk about whether, when Scoot gets back, when Drew comes back, if the usage ever drops off a little bit, if what that will look like. It's funny. It's funny how much a week can change though, because last week I did some of the prep for this, and I was like, Jalen, do we need to have the Jalen Johnson conversation? Well, the conversation was had, and he's now a second favorite. So Jalen Johnson, I think, is a very deserving candidate. Austin Reeves, I know, is one, Matt, that you really like. I'm pretty intrigued by him as well. Again, the number is a little bit shorter than when you and I were interested. And then Jalen Duren is the one who I think, as a Buckets team, we were kind of on him fast. Shout out Fonseca. He's got the easy conference to make the All-Star game. It's a buzzy team in general. So I really can see really strong cases for any of those four guys. And so, and again, like a week ago, it was three guys with like keeping an eye on Jalen Johnson, and he came into the conversation. So I think there are a lot of really good candidates here. Ryan Rollins being fifth is interesting because I don't think he will be in there. That's one maybe to short a little bit with Kevin Porter Jr. back. And then it's either Giannis and KPJ in the lineup, and Rollins isn't going to be doing much, or it's Giannis out of town and no one's going to watch a single Bucks game for the rest of the season. So I don't think he should be fifth, but I also wouldn't put it past, Keontae George is playing out of his mind. I don't think a Jazz player is going to get it, but there are interesting players in this. And so to me, there's, we talked about a couple bets on these first ones. Shea, maybe a little bit of value, Flag, a little bit of value. MIP, I don't really see a ton this second that I want to be jumping on. I'm just interested in those four, and I think they're pretty accurately the four favorites right now.
I want Jalen Johnson. I'm betting him tonight 5-1. That's 4 straight triple doubles. Now Trey's coming back this week to fuck everything up, so that's gonna be a problem.
Is it wait until he comes back, Jalen Johnson has a bad game and then buy? Or do you think he just keeps playing well and actually then that helps the number because he plays well even with Trey?
Yeah. I'm going to buy it now and I'll buy more later.
Yeah.
If it dips, I'll buy more later. Like I'm big on Reeves just because I'm like Laker, like his numbers are absurd or ridiculous. They've dipped because he struggled in the cup game. He's had like a little bit of a dip here, but I still think there's all sorts of optimism. I think about Reeves this season. The Lakers bump is very real to me. He'll get, that helps with the All-Star selection, keeps his name in the, he's a known quantity. Like people know Austin Reeves more than they know Jalen Duren. And that's just kind of a fact. Joe, what's your number on this?
Yeah, I think this one is pretty wide open. I would say that this is like a 2 or a 3.
Yeah.
I always just feel like with most improved, there's always like runway at the end of the season for some like funky things kind of start happening. Honestly, too, like one of the numbers that's kind of popped off the board to me is you've got like Michael Porter Jr.'s like 60-1. Honestly, if you put his stats next to Denny Avdia's, are they that much different? Because they're both on terrible teams.
How dare you?
I mean, come on. I'm just saying though, like I think that Denny's I don't know. I'm not like sold on Denny right now. I just think a lot of it has to do with the team's not very good.
Blazers might be a little better than MPJ.
I mean, I think they're better than Brooklyn, yeah. But like
I'm saying if you swap them.
Yeah, no, that's what I mean. Like
I think both teams are better. I think the Brooklyn Nets would be way better with Denny Avdia, and I think the Portland Trailblazers would be way better with Michael Porter Jr.
Wow, I actually kind of like that take.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just kind of like a point of that. A lot of these guys, I always think that the problem with this award, or like some of the like kind of what happened even last year with like Dyson Daniels, right? Like when I'm looking at this award, or like with most improved, just generally, is like a lot of these guys, like they win the award and you're what the fuck? Like, where do they go? Like, and I think that's why there's always that, like, people want to look for that leap into being like a star, or so to speak. And it's not just like you went to a team where there's usage available. And I always that's why I think that like guys like Jalen Johnson or Jalen Duren or Austin Reeves like kind of make more sense for this, just because they're on teams that have a ton of other high usage players, or like they had to kind of improve their stats without getting more minutes or like whatever. So I don't know, like that's more or less the way I try to look at it, but I don't know if that's necessarily how the voters are looking at it either.
Okay, let's talk 6th man of the year. Jaime Jaquez is your favorite at DraftKings, plus 425. Anthony Black is plus 850. Reed Shepard is plus 900. AJ Mitchell is 14-1. Jeremy Grant is 16-1. Naz Reid is 18-1. And And then there's a player that I will like to talk about, which is Quentin Grimes, who is 20-1. Jim, what's your number on this?
This is a 1 out of 10, maybe even 0 out of 10. This is the category I was referencing that is wide open because there are no good candidates. I have been trying to unsuccessfully fade Jaime Jaquez because when the Heat are healthy, he's basically a ghost. They've had 3 games fully healthy is the problem. But in those 3 games, he's getting 20 minutes a game. He's averaging 8 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists on 9 field goal attempts. They just have so many guys. They've got Wiggins. They've got Powell. They've got Hero. They've got Davion Mitchell. They're so deep when healthy that he kind of becomes a ghost in those situations. The problem is they've been cycling guys out hurt all season, and I can't tell if we're going to now get healthy now that Hero is back. Powell seems to be back. Is Wiggins going to suddenly tweak something, and that opens up the door? Because Jaime, if anyone's open, he fills that role and he pops up to like 16, 6, and 6 and suddenly looks like a really good candidate here. But as long as they're healthy, I do think it's a good time to kind of short his stock a little bit. And then maybe the second someone goes down, you try and go back in. Anthony Black is among the favorites. He's like 11th in total points off the bench, and he's starting with Franz out. I don't really understand that. I'm with you, Matt, that the names that intrigue me the most are in that kind of like 18 to 20 range. I think Quentin Grimes is a really good candidate here. Leader in points per game scoring off the bench. He's only started a handful of games. Anyeka Okongwu is a guy who I'm really interested in. The biggest problem here is that KP might miss more than 40 games, and Onyeka might start 50. But I think Naz Reid is live. But we see how much fluctuation this has had. AJ Mitchell used to be the favorite. Now that the Thunder are healthy, that's kind of AJ Mitchell was Jaime Jaquez before Jaime Jaquez. He was a guy getting a lot of usage because the team was not healthy. Now the team's healthy. He's getting like 20 minutes a game, something like that, and those numbers have dropped off. So this is just a mess of an award. To me, this is an award you kind of want to bet against right now instead of bet on. I do think Naz and Grimes are interesting bets. And you could even talk me into Onyeka maybe at a long number. But I'd want to see that update on KP news because we just got 2 more kind of unknown weeks that he'll be out. So it sounds like you're on the grind stream too, Matt.
Yeah, absolutely. What did KP catch, man? Jesus.
Yeah,
I don't get it, but we've had Onyeka. Like I've been on Onyeka for a while. I think like preseason, and I think I bet him again at like 30-1 or so. I think that this is the concern. Like I think part of the cap when I bet Onyeka was KP's going to miss time. Like we're going to get a pop. It's like, well, now we're missing too much time. Like, it's a little nerve wracking, but I think that Grimes is great, especially when you look at Philly. Like Embiid is always missing time. Paul George is probably going to miss more time. Just a variety of, there's also just guys that are the people that are healthy are the wings. So like it's going to be harder for him to crack a starting lineup unless there's a major injury to like a Tyrese Maxey or somebody like that. Then even then, it's probably not going to be enough games for him to be disqualified from this.
Just want to go ahead and show that on youtube.com/the Action Network. AJ Mitchell was Jaime Jaquez before Jaime Jaquez was Jaime Jaquez. Jim Turvey. I'm going to make you a t-shirt. I'm going to design you a t-shirt that says that. That is the most buckets thing that has ever been said.
Give me my poetry award now.
Nobody else would ever say that.
Yeah, this award, the market's just really funky on it, where I don't know why Black's up there. Reed Shepherd had his moment and is kind of like fading back quite a bit. Nas just kind of like every night, Nas is doing the same stuff every single, like I've got points per game coming off the bench, 20 games played, less than 5 games started. And the list is Grimes, Jaquez, Nas, Santi Aldama.
Oh,
I know, but like the Grizzlies.
That was my preseason guy.
But like the Grizzlies are not going to That's the problem.
That's fair.
It's like, and he's probably going to start because Edie's out again.
Yeah.
So that's a problem. Anthony Simons, Dylan Harper, Isaiah Joe at 17 games played, Malik Monk, Reed Shepherd, Keldon Johnson. It's just like the only 2 players that are averaging over 15 points a game off the bench are Quentin Grimes and Jaime Jaquez.
Yeah.
So I'm betting Grimes tonight at 21.
Yeah.
21 is a great number. Yeah.
So we'll do that. I do want to note, by the way, that sometimes we go like we set up the show and I do graphics and all these type of things. And some of the best bets are ones that we find in the course of our conversations. Like Spurs 250-1 was not one that to win the cup was not one that we went into with. We actually were like, take the Nuggets, blah, 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 blah. But like when we were talking about it, we found it. We're like, oh God, like why is it 250-1? Like Wembanyama could come back. Like, why is this? So like we talked about it in the show and talked about it as a great bet, and we all bet it. But like we didn't give it out as like an official bet. But I just would say like this is the reason you listen is when we get in the lab, we find stuff. And I think Quentin Grimes 20-1 might honestly be kind of one of those. Okay. Coach of the year. I don't have like a lot on this. I actually don't have this set up in my system to log, so I don't actually have the numbers on it. But Jim, I would imagine this has to be pretty low because I think there's like 7 really good candidates here.
Yeah, this has a 2 out of 10. So this is my second lowest here. And mostly what you just said, there's a lot of good candidates at like kind of long numbers. Jordan Ott, and Phoenix got robbed tonight. The Jordan Ott's at 15-1. Quinn Snyder, I could almost see a Quinn Snyder case down the road if Atlanta gets really hot. He's at 40-1. But I think the name that I tossed to you guys and you both seemed a little interested, Joe Mazzulla at 22-1. I know the Celtics, we've been kind of high and low on them, hot and cold in terms of whether we think it's sustainable or not, whether we think they'll push Tatum to come back or not, what we think their real ceiling is. But like, if we just kind of zoom out and say who's doing the best coaching job this season, I would have Joe Mazzulla in the top 5. And so at 22-1, I think he's up there with, Spo and Dags as kind of the coaches who really pop off the page, and Bickerstaff as the guys who have done the best job coaching this season. So he is the longest number of those guys. And with the Celtics, potentially having the move to bring back Tatum and kind of get into that 45 to 50 win range when preseason they were down around 36. And it looked like there was talk of this could be like a tanking season. I bet it to be a potential tanking season. I saw that possibility, but Mazzulla has been really awesome. So I think it's a nice low number in a market that seems pretty unsettled right now. You could make the case that the Dags is a pretty deserving favorite. I think the Pistons will fall off a little bit. So I think Bickerstaff probably is the one who I would go against among the favorites, but I think this is still pretty open right now.
Yeah, I'm going to bet Maz, but I will say this. There's been 2 teams in NBA history that won 70 games.
Yeah.
Steve Kerr, or the 2016 Warriors and the 1997 Chicago Bulls, and Phil Jackson and Steve Kerr won Coach of the Year. So,
yeah, it might be one of those things where you bet because you can get Dagnall at like, what's his number? Do we have that? I think it's plus
225. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't mind pairing that with a long shot, to be honest. And it's like basically a little bit of a fade of Bickerstaff.
Ooh, I wonder if I can.
Yeah.
Well, go ahead.
I would say it's definitely tough because like when you have a team that's just so overwhelming, it becomes like, well, how many awards is Oklahoma City going to get? Right. Because like, if you like, I don't know, like the voters vote for every award, right, Matt? So it's not like you get like these people get DPOY, these people get Coach of the Year. I do think there could be a little bit of like splitting where you're like, well, we want to give him MVP or maybe not MVP, or we want to give him DPOY or Coach of the Year, like whatever it is. I do wonder if there's going to be a little bit of choppiness with the awards where they go, well, like we just don't want to give this team a full sweep. So I do like, that being said though, I do like Mazzulla. I think honestly, like this is so homer, but Mike Brown's 35-1. The Knicks have a pretty legitimate, they could just be the 1 seed in the East and then it's New York.
To get all of the check boxes, they'd have to win like 65 games.
Yeah, I mean they're 18-7 right now.
I was like, yeah, that's easy. 65 is right where I have them.
Saying, I'm just saying, like it's not that. It's just not that like unreasonable. I think the number is just a little bit long considering where they're at.
How would you possibly look at this Knicks team so far and be like, oh man, what a job by Mike Brown?
Do you see them walking around? He's got Cat crushing on defense right now. He's like one of the best defenders in Switch in the NBA right now. Doing that should win you the award.
I have them projected for 59 right now. So a lot of wins, but under no circumstances. There has to be some limit to this Knicks being a podcast thing.
This was
all right, Jim. Clutch player of the year.
Thank you for giving me my ability to do this. So I'm going to give this a 4 out of 10. This is kind of like MVP in that we hold it in high esteem. No, it's like a 2 with a third kind of hang on type race. It's Cade and Shea are kind of neck and neck. And if you look at the odds, they're pretty even. And then Tyrese Maxey, if you look at clutch points, is kind of in the conversation, but odds-wise isn't there. And I do think that this is kind of even narratively shaping up to be a two-man race here. I think that this is actually a pretty good time to grab some more Shea. I know I kind of unloaded on Shea at 10-1 at the start of the season, but I still like the number at plus 290, in part because I think OKC is going to start to get tested a little bit more. And it's just insane. His usage in the clutch, maybe to their detriment. We saw the Spurs handle him really well in the clutch, but again, it was just Shea after Shea after Shea. The usage, if they start getting even a decent amount of games that are within 5 in the final minutes, then this number is going to be really high by the end of the season. The case for Cade is that the Pistons are likely to be in more close games. And that even as he trails Shea right now, he's about even in terms of the odds. Now, part of that might be projecting more close games going forward, but I think that it's fair to have those two as the favorites. But I would like Shea at the numbers that two have right now. But I think it's pretty open. If you got the 10-1, don't chase it. But if you missed the 10-1, I wouldn't hate adding at plus like 290 or plus 300 or whatever right now.
It's weird because it's like, okay, Ant's shooting 67% in clutch time.
Not match the eye test.
Look, yeah, like
67% from the field, 56% from 3, 75% from the line. He has 5 assists to 4 turnovers and is a +9 in 14 games played. Or 9 games played. Sorry, they're 5 and 4 in those games. So it's like that would be pretty good, but it's the question is like, do you think the clutch is a sustainable? Right, it's like if he gets more opportunity, are those numbers going to go up or down? Which is why the volume I think is always the right play. Which is why Shea's in the lead. Like Shea's at 91, he's got a 12-point lead over Cade in 4 fewer games. So like to me, there's just no. I agree. It's Shea. As much as I really do love Maxey's game. Interesting number here. Cooper Flags, 57%.
Yeah, I wanted to make a joke. I was saying, Matt, do you see who's in 4th in clutch points? It's Derek Queen.
Yeah.
Oh, no, wait. It's Cooper Flag.
No, it's Cooper Flag. Yeah. That's good for him. Okay. All right. Joe, do you have thoughts on Jim's award here? Because I'm just gonna it's probably Shea.
Yeah, I mean it's probably Shea. It's so early in the season, and honestly, you get one game when it's in clutch, and these guys go up 10 points. So,
Joe's very right about that. That's how Brunson did it last year. He had a 2-week stretch where he put up 60 clutch points over 5 games, and it was that just flipped the entire award on its head. So there were a few games you could catch that in the middle of that streak still at a good number. So just if it's wake up, have your morning cup of coffee, and go check clutch stats on NBA, see if anyone's doing crazy stuff.
Yeah, Maxey, I will say Philly is just always in these fucking clutch games. So something to consider probably.
Yeah. Okay. We're going to do DPOY, which is going to lead us into our future of the week. So Jim, I want you to talk about how done you think the award is without giving away our future of the week.
Yes, I will lead. In fact, that'll be very easy because I have a very high number. I have it 8 out of 10. And this is basically a play against Wemby here because Wemby has missed 12 games already. He has 11 back-to-backs remaining, and a lot of those in January. I believe he gets to 5 back-to-backs by the end of January. So that's if he just plays out the season, he plays every back-to-back, he has 5 games to play with because you have to get to that 65 game limit. I think that's basically impossible. I would set that at a 95% chance that he does not get to the 65 game limit. We saw them play him only 20 minutes his first game back. I mean, he barely cleared the minimum minutes for it to count for this award. Because don't forget, you have to play 65 games in which you play 20 minutes. It's not just the 65 games played in general. You have to reach 20 minutes for it to count as one of the games for that. So I just don't think he's going to get. I think there's no chance they play him back-to-backs. They're clearly, and that was a cup playoff game. If they're playing some random regular season game on a back-to-back, I would be beyond shocked if he plays back-to-backs and, honestly this season, but certainly not through December, January, February, kind of that time frame. Then if you add any tweaked ankle, miss a game here and there, which he can do at times, I think there's a very low chance that he reaches 65. So to me, he's like the heavy, or he is a big participant in this market still, and that provides a lot of value in this market overall, because I think that is a number that I would, if you can go out there and bet no Wemby, that is my real favorite way to attack this right now.
20 games played and 30 minutes per game. Who do you think leads in defensive rating?
Wait, can you say the 2 games played in minutes? It's
20 games played
of at least 30 minutes.
Of at least 30 minutes per game.
Because it's not going to be one of the Thunder people, because they play such few minutes, I feel like. Wow, this is hard.
You are forgetting the early season double overtime games. It is an Oklahoma City Thunder.
I mean, is it Shea?
It's Shea.
Yeah. Okay.
Like, of course it is.
Yeah.
Rudy Gobert is 4th.
Yeah. Gobert like weirdly could. I just can't fathom him getting the vote again. But like,
oh, I have a better one. Guess who's 2nd? Is Amen Thompson.
Well.
Rockets 2nd in defense. Yeah, the Wembanyama, like this is where the 65 game rule. It's like we're gonna have like there's gonna be a lot of consternation about this, where it's like we're really gonna have this kid have averaging 4 blocks a game and then doing all this, and he's not gonna have a DPOY. Like, we're setting back his historical curve. Like, if Wemby had entered the league 5 years earlier before this rule was implemented, he would already have 2. Like, they might have given it to him last year after missing half the season.
I messaged you frantically, like, is this going to be such a big deal that they like eliminate this rule mid-season because of Wemby? And like, I think that's almost more likely than Wemby playing the 65 games. I don't think it's going to happen, but there's a tiny part of me that is nervous that they would like.
They're not going to change. They will not remove the rule mid-season.
The thing is, though, what, like, honestly, though, like, if you're an owner, why would you want it?
Yeah, it
like, why would you want it removed? Like, this is a free way so that your guys maybe aren't eligible for some of these insane super maxes. Like,
that is why
you want this rule. You like, you don't want these guys winning these awards because like if Wemby suddenly eligible for a super max, or like if he's suddenly not eligible for a super max, my God, like then you're just like,
who's actually going to be the one in there saying like, no, we can't change this, is Peter Holt for the Spurs.
Yeah. 100%.
So with that in mind, since it's not going to be Victor Wembanyama, it's going to be somebody else. And we have a future of the week coming up for you. But first, the Buckets Podcast is teamed up with DraftKings Sportsbook, where new customers can bet $5 and get $200 back in bonus bets if your bet wins. Love the thrill of live betting? DraftKings has you covered. Bet live on star player props and in-progress games right as they happen. To get started, use promo code BucketsNBA when signing up with DraftKings. Again, use code BucketsNBA when signing up and bet $5 to get $200 back in bonus bets if your bet wins. The crown is yours. Okay, and with that in mind, Jim, what's our future of the week?
We have the other guy, Chet Holmgren, at plus 160 DPOY. Now, again, it is a little bit scary to take the favorite in the market right now, but getting the plus money on this is really just a play on Wemby. Holmgren himself does have an injury history, and that is the scariest part of this. But this season, he has only missed 4 games. He has the leeway to miss a little bit more time. And the Thunder defense is, it's comical. It is a all-time defense. It is going to deserve the plaudits at the end of the day. He is the one who makes the most sense if we look at, the historic breakdown of this. It's the big on a top defense who has gotten recognition and has the reputation. Chet fits all of these. I know, Matt, I have to talk you into it a little bit because of the injury possibility, but he only missed 4 games this season. It was a chunk of 3 games and then the one back-to-back after that. I think OKC wants to rack up a few of these awards, and Chet makes perfect sense as a, if it's not Wemby, Chet is kind of the guy. And really beyond that, I mean, the Amen Thompson is an interesting shout, but there really aren't that many guys that are in this that really seem super reasonable. So I think getting the plus 160 number, I don't think that's going to be very long available. I think Wemby's going to sit this Friday on a back-to-back, and people are going to start to do some math and figure out, oh yeah, no, he's not going to get to that 65 game limit, and Holmgren's going to be a minus number very soon.
Yeah, so the issue, I agree with this bet, and then one of the things that kind of is you got to do process of elimination. OKC had a historic defense last year. It was absolutely amazing, absolutely incredible, and I would have thought that's why I bet Lou Dort as much as I did. I was like, surely they're going to reward this, and that's how strong the stupid anchor to blocks and rebounds is. It has to be a big man. Doesn't matter that we live in a perimeter-oriented NBA. Doesn't matter. I do not it's going to infuriate me when Chet wins this award. Especially because his defensive EPM isn't as good as last year. He's not as good as Bam's. Bam's got better defensive EPM than him. That's how good Bam's been. Who's not going to win and never wins.
Nobody cares about Bam.
No one cares about Bam. But it's process of elimination, right? Where it's okay, if Houston's best defender is Amen Thompson, which all the numbers suggest that it is, you're not going to give it to Steven Adams. You're not it's not going to be Alperen Şengün. Okay, so they're out. Orlando, you're not going to give it to Wendell Carter Jr. no matter how much he cleans up. You're not going to give it to anybody on the mat. There's no other big. So it's are you the best defense? Yes. Do you have a big man who's eligible? Yes. Then you're going to win.
Yeah. And Mobley is now out. Mobley was one who was starting to get a little bit of steam. He's now out for a month. And the Cavs defense hasn't been nearly as good this season.
This is annoying, but it's a really good bet. So Chet Holmgren.
I agree that it is annoying. I'm with you on perimeter defense being underrated, but unfortunately we're trying to figure out what people are doing. I'm with you though.
But the money cash is all the same. Chet Holmgren, Defensive Player of the Year, is your Future of the Week, brought to you by DraftKings Sportsbook. The crown is yours. Let's do some best bets real quickly. No bets for me tonight for a while. I'm taking a breather because I'm just the beats have gotten to me. I have gotten to me. And so I'm taking a breather, but we got bets from Joe Dellera and Jim Turvey, which is what you guys came here for. We will start with Jim Turvey. Jim, what's your 3-star best bet of the night?
My 3-star best bet, I was flipping things around. I believe I went with Pirtle. Did I go with Aldama or Pearl? We went with Aldama. We went with Santi Aldama over 14.5 points, 15 plus, either way. So he has had 3 starts this season. In those 3 starts, he's averaging 24 points a game on 17 field goal attempts a game. Fewest minutes in a start he has had is 27 minutes. Games with at least 27 minutes, he's cleared this in 7 out of 10 games, averaging 18 points a game in those 10 games. Clippers bottom 10 defense. Ja Morant is going to be back, but he only gets a little bit of a usage drop with Ja on the court, and his effective field goal percentage actually bumps up pretty notably. So I'm not really super worried about that. You talked about how with Edey out, he makes perfect sense next to Jaren in the front court for Memphis. Even if they go with a slight zag in the starting lineup, I think he'll be in that 27 to 28 to even over 30 minutes in this game against the Clippers. Should be a close game. I think this will be a little bit blowout proof in terms of that aspect of it. So Santi Aldama over 14.5 points is my 3-star play for the day.
I hope you guys like Grizzlies because we got a lot of Grizzlies bets on this card tonight. Joe, what are your thoughts on Santi Aldama here?
Yeah, I like this look, and it kind of ties into my 2-star play. So I will leave it at that for now. But Santi is always
a little SGP cooking up.
He's always a bucket's favorite, so I like it.
I like Grizzlies on the money line too.
Yeah, we should build the SGP out for sure.
We should build the SGP for sure. I'll get to working on that. Joe Dellera, your 3-star bet of the night.
So I'm looking at Scotty Barnes over 4.5 assists. I really like the spot for Barnes against the Miami Heat. He's had at least 4 assists in every game without RJ Barrett, averaging 5.8 without him. Without RJ, his passes go up, and he just is on the ball a little bit more. So he gets a matchup against Miami, who play really, really fast, and they allow the 7th most assists per game to their opponents. So I like the over 4.5 assists. It's pretty juiced. So I think it's still worth the price though, at even like minus 150 or so. If it goes to 5.5, I'd probably play it a little bit lighter, but as long as you can get some plus money, I don't mind it.
Jim, your thoughts on this one?
I have not dug into this as deep. I know Quickly is back, but I don't think that should have a direct impact. As like Joe said, it's the RJ part of it that's a little bit more impactful overall. And the pace up spot here is definitely a really nice part of this. So I dig it.
Okay. Let's go back to Jim for your 2 and your 1 stars.
Yeah, let's stick in Memphis. You said Memphis money line. I'm gonna go Memphis spread. I like Memphis money line as well. And actually, I'll tie that into kind of the end of the cap. Why I really could easily be talked into Memphis money line, but Memphis lost their last game at home to the Jazz in Ja's first game back. But it does seem like there is a thing. Shout out Andrew O'Connor-Watts. It's actually been a minute since we shouted him out. With the first game back with the star player in, is always a little bit shaky. This is now the second game back. I think overall, Ja has struggled this season, but he is a net positive. They have Edey out, which I actually do think is pretty big. But these two teams are pretty even on the season if we look at in terms of adjusted net rating. We have Harden and kind of sneaky important maybe Nicholas Batum, both with questionable tags. So I don't think see this moving much towards the Clippers at all, and I could see it moving towards the Grizzlies. And the other thing I like here, and this is maybe even a case to zag to the money line right off the bat here, is I think it should be a really close game, tight spread. Memphis is the third best ATS team in the fourth quarter this season. The Clippers are the fourth worst. They have a minus 10.4 net rating in fourth quarters this season. They have just been really bad down the stretch of close games, of non-close games. So I think in a close game, I like Memphis. And tie it together with Aldama points and Joe's next play here. I think we got ourselves a nice little SGP. Quickly touch on Jakob Poeltl. That's the 1-star play. But honestly, these were all kind of I kind of interchanged these in terms of how much I like them. I think they're all kind of around the same level today. I've got Jakob Poeltl under 21.5 points, rebounds, and assists. Poeltl's back has been kind of flaring up this season, and it's kept his minutes down on a game-to-game basis. He's averaging 26 a game. That's in even lower of late. Last 4 games, he's been around 24 minutes. And Mamu there has been really good and kind of given them a strong second option if his back flares up. If we hit the under, if he plays and he's got to go out because he tweaks his back or something. I'm not trying to talk it into existence. I'm just saying it is a path to an under. Unders, you also get blowout help. There's all these things. The worry would be is a pace up spot here. But having Quickly back doesn't improve his effective field goal, doesn't help him with his usage. He's actually shooting above average, his career norms, despite the lingering injuries. He's got Bam, a really strong post defender across from him. So I just think there's a lot of paths towards a Poeltl under on Monday night against the Heat.
Okay. Unders versus the Heat, always an interesting idea because they're insane, same pace. Joe Dellera, your 2 and your 1 stars.
So I'm going to be looking at Ja Morant on over 6.5 assists. This is another one that's getting pretty juicy, but I think that even at 7.5, as long as you're getting plus money, it's okay. The main thing is he's hit this in 10 of 13 games, and if we bump it up to 7.5, we're still doing pretty good. We're still there at 8 out of 13. But the Clippers tend to give up a lot of assists to lead guards. Makes sense given what some of their defensive schemes are. Wouldn't shock me to see them just throw Chris Dunn on Ja and be like, here you go. That's your assignment. And Ja, honestly, over the course of the season has been deferring a little bit more, I would say. I'm not sure if it's an issue with just Ja or a coaching issue or whatever it is, but it's only averaging 18 points a game, averaging almost 8 assists per game. So I like the spot against the Clippers. I do think that one of the spots too is that the Morant, he tends to give a lot of assists in the interior and also on above the break threes. I think those are decent spots to try to attack the Clippers in particular, especially on those above the break 3 looks. Without Zoo in the interior, I think it makes it, without Edey on the interior, I think it makes it a little bit harder anyway to go that route. And I think that might open up some more things for a spread floor, a little bit more for Aldama, things like that. So I like Morant over 6.5 assists. And for my 3-star play, or my 1-star play rather, I'm on the Houston Rockets on the money line. I think that right now the Rockets are just a much healthier team than the Denver Nuggets, and it looks like they might be getting Tari Eason back as well, which I think is notable. I think it's just a really tough spot for Denver without Christian Brown, without Aaron Gordon, and then potentially without Julian Strawther for this one as well. I think that the Rockets are just in a much healthier spot, so I'm going to grab them as road dogs in Denver on Monday night as well.
Yeah, I agree with that, and I'm going to stay away from it because I've got conflicting model stuff. Like preseason model loves Houston, in season models like I have redone a lot just trying to basically fix how my numbers look at Houston, because the problem is just like, okay, if you miss on a possession, that's 0. But if you get the offensive rebound and score on it, that's a 2. But if you miss and you miss and you miss, and you keep getting your own offensive rebounds, it's a bunch of 0s. And so trying to
problem all over again.
Yeah, trying to figure out. I've given so much of work on trying to adjust my model for offensive rebounds, and I still can't quite get it enough for Houston. However, if we remove all the model stuff, I really like Houston in this spot. I just think it's a revenge spot. Denver without these two starters has been so bad defensively. They've been terrible at home. Like every indicator here is that this is a Houston win.
I was going to ask you about this. The home road thing is getting like really weird. Like they've won their last like 9 road games and
11,
like 11, and they've lost like their last 4 or 5 home games. It's
to the Kings, the Bulls, the Spurs.
Yeah. Really weird.
You know what it is? They're so thin that the altitude's actually working against them right now.
All the way to finally raising up.
Yeah.
Actually, no. The real reason is because I said they would go 38-3 at home after their first 3 games at home, and so the basketball gods are like, "Oh, let me show you something."
Guess what?
Yeah.
Chicago says hello.
Speaking of the same game parlay, by the way, here's the one that you want to look at: Grizzlies money line, Santi Aldama points, and Ja Morant, or 15 plus on Santi points and 7+ Ja assists is plus 435. That's a really well correlated. And if you want proof of that, how about this one via pbpstats.com's assist networks? Shout out to those guys. Daryl over there is excellent. The number 1 assist receiver from Ja Morant is Santi Aldama.
Oh, this is good.
He has scored 42. They have created 42 points off of Ja assist to Santi Aldama. That is, by my numbers, 7 more than number 2, which is Cedric Coward.
Nice.
So he is by far, like, it makes a lot of sense. Ja doesn't know the new guys.
No.
So he passes to the guys that he knows. Like, as a kind of a good example of this is he still got 15 points. He has 36 points created to Jalen Wells and 35 to Cedric Coward, despite how much better Cedric has been. Because John knows where to pass to it with Jalen. So.
Yeah.
All right, that's going to do it. Here's your best bets for Monday night in the association. Joe Dellera like Scotty Barnes over 4.5 assists. Ja Morant over 6.5 assists, and the Rockets on the money line. Jim Turvey like Santi Aldama 15+ points. The Grizz plus 2.5, and Jakob Poeltl under 21.5 PRA. My thanks to David Payne, our producer, Gifford Gould on the video side. Get this up at youtube.com/The Action Network. We go live Monday through Thursday at 11 Eastern. So please join us at youtube.com. You can give us your bets and we'll talk about them on the show live for Open Run. So please join us. You can catch us on Twitter as well during that window. Please come by and hang out because we like building the community here. My thanks to David Payne, like I said. My thanks to Jim Turvey and Joe Dellera for joining me for the Future Jays. We'll see you guys again tomorrow. Till then, let's get bucket.